Hello, I'm RetroJules and welcome to my garage. This is my M41 Walker Bulldog Tier 7 American light tank. A truly awesome, amazing, fantastic, I could keep going, super fast, super agile, lethal light tank. And I like this tank a lot. So it's 76mm single shot cannon, has a decent middle range penetration of 175mm, it's enough, with one of the lowest damages of 150, but an excellent reload of around 4 seconds. It's got a really decent aim time of 1.9 seconds, one of the best, and a decent accuracy of 0.38, and with the best gun depression at that tier in its class of 10 degrees. It's the fastest tier 7 light tank with a top speed of 72 kilometers per hour, an excellent hull traverse of 56 degrees per second, the highest, and a turret traverse of 50 degrees per second, which is also one of the best. This is a very fast, maneuverable, flanking and scouting tank. It can be lethal. Also has an excellent acceleration, which is on the par with the WZ and far better than the Speerpanzer and the AMX, but not quite the rocket that is the Soviet LTTB. It has the best view range of 400 meters, which is also the same as the Speerpanzer, which is 10 meters more than all the other light tanks at tier 7. But this tank is large. This is a large light tank. It's quite tall, so it has the worst camo rating out of all of the tier 7 lights. You can play this tank as an effective sniper, but if you equip it with the autoloader, then you can be a devastating active attack vehicle with a huge 10-shot drum and an also huge reload, I'm afraid, of 34 seconds. Your aim time increases by 0.3 of a second, but you've got a very fast 2-second reload between each shell, and your accuracy diminishes by 0.02 to 0.4, making you less of an effective sniping vehicle. With this tank, I carry 2 repair kits and a first aid kit, and 2 repair kits are essential if you're going to be stocking the autoloader. My equipment setup for this is vertical stabilizers, binoculars and optics, but vents would also be a very viable option on this tank, just depending on how you want to play it. My crew, I've got quite a good crew in this. They've got reconnaissance, situational awareness, camo, sixth sense, designated target, and they're currently training in smooth ride, and my next skill or perk for these guys will be snapshots. I would say this is quite possibly the best light tank in the game, with really flexible game styles and an extremely relocatable tank that will cover the battlefield in a matter of seconds, and the choice of the 2 superb gun packages can really influence the way you can play this tank and might want to play this tank. If you were to say to me, if I could only have one light tank in the game, which one would it be? It would absolutely have to be the M41 Walker Bulldog. I love this tank. It is just such a lot of fun and really effective to play. And here's some gameplay to show you the tank in action. So we're on Sand River and it's night time and it's a tier 8 game. So we're only one tier down. So that's really going to help our penetration. We're going to have some slightly softer shots than normal. And this is the single shot version. This is the 76mm single shot, 175 penetration, 150 damage. And this game just shows what an all-round effective tank this can be. So going to just reach this sweet spot, and you can see by its view range you can almost cover the entire map. It's a really good spot, and we get 6 spots, so we've almost got half the team spotted already. We're nicely protected down in this dry riverbed, and I'm going to stay here as long as I can and use that 10 degrees of gun depression, really decent gun depression. Get a nice quick auto aim into that Chaffee, and their first light scouting tank is taken out of action. And the other 2 light tanks, there they are a platoon, and you just know that they're going to stick together for the game. So we've got a champion over in the distance, just trying a couple of auto aims. They don't work. Just get a low shot there on the champion. And just assumed it was going to keep rolling forward, but it didn't. And yeah, it didn't quite have the accuracy to get a turret shot there. And the sixth sense is going off all over the place. I am in it's quite a risky spot this, but if you can just keep an eye on who's around, where the enemies are, you can normally stay here for quite a while. And I tend to stay here until I see the enemy appear in the riverbed, and then that's when I relocate and get out of dodge. So our team are sort of pushing the B8 area, but not really pushing the west of the map. We've got we've got an awful lot, nearly half the team are tank destroyers, so they're going to be sort of camping, whereas the enemy have a much more active setup with just the 2 TDs and a good mix of heavies, mediums and lights. So I would say normally that we would be a slightly weaker team because of the nature of the camping tank destroyers. But then if I can effectively spot, then if they're in good positions, they're just going to be shooting over my shoulder constantly. Right, so there's a heavy in the riverbed and it's getting awfully close. It's a KV and I am off. And that's what I love about this tank. As long as no rocks get in the way, you can relocate so quickly that you can almost leave it last minute. And because it's got such a good chassis rotation, you can really wiggle this tank to put the enemy aim off. But there is a side effect to that, the fact that because that chassis rotation is so good, can make this quite a difficult tank to drive in a straight line. It can be very twitchy. So a nice easy shot into the side of the Carnarvon's turret. And I'm going to stay here for a while now because the enemy are up there at sort of B8. And we're possibly a little bit exposed on the cap. And our 3 heavy tanks haven't really pushed far at all on the map, and that Ferdinand's pushing forward up to the enemy, and I request that he falls back because probably going to a certain death up there. There's at least 2 or 3 tanks up there, and I know one of them's a light tank, and they could run circles around that Ferdinand. So I'm just going to stay in this spot and do whatever supporting I can. And here comes the T-37 light. He comes winging in, and he's just going to keep circumstrafing that Ferdinand. And we've got a Skoda up there. And I just need to be wary of this VK. Get a nice shot on the side of the turret. I'm just going to pull back a bit because I know that Carnarvon's round the corner. Got the VK on that sand dune. And yeah, that Ferdinand is outnumbered. Well, I did ask him if he could fall back. I'm certainly not going to go in and help him. I'm only going to help him from a distance. And just pop any shots in that I can to help. And now one of the TDs is asking me to fall back, which would be a good idea, but I just thought I'm just going to stay here for as long as I can to try and defend the cap any way I can, and these shots aren't going anywhere. Either I'm a rubbish shot or I just don't have that accuracy, and I take a shot and yeah, that's it. My work here is done. I need to relocate because they're coming in fast and I'm going to be the first target they meet. So as we do the Walker Bulldog, we just leg it to somewhere else. And it's that quick, out of trouble, instantly. Right, there's that Carnarvon, so I decide to throw caution to the wind and just race in and see if I can pop a shot in the back, because that Carnarvon's good for one shot and somebody beats me to it. So we've got the two tank destroyers at E3, and I don't know how I got that auto shot on the move, but it went in. And there's another one of those rocks that gets in my way. And I'm going to come right round and see if I can help with the tank destroyers. Now, one of our teams had followed me. I have a feeling he was trying to request fire on the enemy, because there was no reason why I would move from here to where that tank destroyer is. And at this stage I'm just not quite sure how to play this. I was going to go towards the cap and I decided, nah, actually I don't want to. Because sometimes I can be foolish and rush in towards the end of the game, and I'm just going to play the game of patience. Right, there's the T-25, there's the tank destroyer. Get nice and close, one in. And a second shot in. And this is where you've got to ask yourself, do you need the autoloader? There's only 4 seconds between each shot. It's a fast reload anyway. It's almost like it is an autoloader. But of course, you're never going to have that painful 34-second wait as you reload your autoloader. And it's a tricky one because both guns are really, really good. Now this Tiger II is a little bit of a nemesis. I'm trying to get some tracking shots in, and all I've really done there is expose myself, and I'm just up here with no cover. So time to find some cover and just dip down out of view, and I'm going to relocate so I pop up in a nice new position and see what I can do with that Tiger II. And that Tiger II lasts to the end of the game, and I do waste a few shots trying to track it. And there it is out in the open, and I panic a little bit, not realising where it is, and I just no idea how I landed that without doing any damage, but it looked pretty spectacular. Anyway, back to business. Tiger II up on the sand dune. And I'm just trying to see if I can get, no idea what I was aiming at there. See if I can get a tracking shot in. No, and I just don't really have the accuracy at this distance to do anything, and I'm just wasting money here. Tiger II's already tracked. I'm just trying to see if I can get any shots in the side. Get one shot in. So that wasn't a complete waste of time. And it's coming up to the Tiger II that you might think that's when the decision is there as to whether you think the autoloader would have been better. So I'm just going to circle around the cap, and I'm heading for that Tiger II to see if I can flank it and get some shots in. And that's what I do love about this tank. It doesn't take you long to get from one side of the map to the other. So for some reason we're capping. I have no idea why we're capping. We really don't need to cap. We've got this game in hand. We'd be really stupid if we lost this now. And I'm on 2/3 of my health, so I'm good for a couple of shots. Not sure if I'm good for a couple of shots from the Tiger 2 though. Probably just, maybe not quite. If that Tiger 2 does 400 a shot, then no, I'm not. So Tiger 2 doesn't even know I'm there. He's about to. Shot in. He's obviously lining a shot up. Another shot in, and he's like, oh, and don't quite play this as well as I could have done. I just need to get away, yeah, from that cannon, because I should be able to get around this tank quicker than that tank. Tiger 2 can traverse that turret, so I'm going to get help with these rocks. A little bit of cover and just keep circling around, and I'm not taking those shots unless I know they're going to go in. And this is where I'm really lucky. I take another shot from the Tiger, and luckily it's a bit of a low roll, and we finish the Tiger 2 off. So a really good, solid scouting and support game with the Bulldog. And how did we do overall? Just under 36,000 silver, yeah, not bad. A really healthy 3,300 XP with a couple of missions, decent 2,200 damage, and we come second overall. So this time we're on Severogorsk in the snow, and again we're only one tier down, so again that's really going to help. And this time I've got the autoloader equipped, so we've got a roughly 34-second monster reload with 10 shells, still doing 175 penetration and 150 damage, but only 2 seconds apart, so effectively we've halved the reload of the single shot. But of course we are limited, well, to 10 shots, which I think is monstrous for an autoloader. So just going to peer over, spot anything coming this way, and we highlight the T-23, stay behind the building and just try and pull back and make sure we're not a target. So now the Tigers come in, and I'm thinking, well, what I'd like to do is just dash across, use my speed. Hopefully everyone's focusing on the Tiger, because we've got the rest of our team following very quickly, and I can get behind this hill and hopefully do some flanking. And here we go, T-23. Oh, and we get one inside the VK that suddenly appears, and that tank's taken out. And what's nice about having the 10 shots in your clip is it almost doesn't feel like an autoloader. It just feels like you've just got 10 shots there. And that's what I find tricky about this tank. Both guns are so good. And I guess it's just whether you feel exposed in a light tank, being out there for 34 seconds while you reload. But when you think about it, in a light tank you're generally relocating a lot, and it can quite easily take you 20 to 30 seconds to get to your next point that you're aiming for, and you can just be reloading while you do it. And as long as you don't come across any of the enemies during that time, you're going to be okay. So this isn't an amazing game, it's not as good as the last game, but it does show you the autoloader in action. And you know, I'm just reloading here and there's no real targets available, and it's that 34-second reload isn't an issue here. And I think the Motherland's playing it hold down over there, but I'm just kind of saying pull back just in case they rush you. You don't really need to push forward, but the Motherland knows what it's doing. Auto-load into the Tiger, but I get the OHO. And the OHO's onto me, so just trying to do a tracking shot before I pull back. Little bit risky, but we got the tracking shot. I'm just waiting for these targets now, and yeah, I kind of waited for that shot for the Tiger really, but I go back for some more and I'm just going to auto aim these so I can pull back really quickly, and not overly effective. And do I go forward and use the last 2 shells? Tiger's been taken out, the Oho's left but is behind cover, and we've got a Black Prince on its own now. And I decide to reload because my 2 shells aren't really much help with that tank. And as it happens, the Black Prince is taken out anyway. And yeah, we really are creaming the enemy in this game. So we're still on a reload, but we're using that reload time to relocate. And I see the T-29 up on that ridge. Takes a couple of shots, 3 shots, and is probably going to retreat and try and get hull down. And I am reloaded, and I am confident that I can get behind that T-29 and finish it off. And that's exactly what I plan to do. And that's when you can have the confidence with this autoloader, because you've got, you know, you've got 1,500 damage that you can do in 20 seconds if all the shots go in. There's a T-29, don't even aim, auto shot, and 2 shots is all it takes, and they are rapid. And I think with this autoloader you really can tear the enemy apart quite quickly. So just going to peer down now. Just use this hill for cover. Got the fighting vehicle. Trying to get some shots in the side. Bounce a shot. And yeah, that tank's onto me now. Gets a shot in. Left myself a little bit exposed there. Just auto aiming in now. And can we get another shot in? And yes, we can, and we finished the last tank off. So that's just to show you the autoloader in action. And how did we do overall? We've got a couple of kills, so quite happy with that. Did alright actually. 42,500 silver, 3,800 XP on the first win of the day. A respectable 1,700 damage. Again, a really effective game in the Walker Bulldog, and we come second overall. So there you have it. That's the M41 Walker Bulldog Tier 7 American light tank. A truly awesome tank, and if you don't play light tanks and you're thinking of playing light tanks and don't really know what direction to go in, or you don't have one, I can thoroughly recommend the Walker Bulldog. What I can't recommend is which package to choose. I find either gun packages are truly excellent and both very, very effective. They do change the way you play the game slightly. You're more exposed if you use the autoloader and you are half a minute out of action, but either way you can have an awful lot of fun with this tank. I hope you enjoyed the review. Keep safe, keep tanking, and I'll see you soon.